Welcome to the show for baseball fans by baseball fans. DingerBats.com presents Full Count, the podcast. Now here are your hosts, Keith Gibson and DingerBats owner, Kyle Drone.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Full Count. Keith Gibson with you alongside me, my co-host and owner of Dinger Bats, Kyle Drone. Welcome to our first video edition of Full Count. We hope you enjoyed today's episode as we're going to break down a lot of things. And Kyle, how are you?
I'm great, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a long week. Had a sick kid. Got to have both kids home for a week. Enjoyed the time with them, but man, tired.
Oh, I bet.
But hey, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Field of Dreams in 2022. We're going to talk about the Yankees. Hey, you and I both said, why are the Yankees making these moves at the deadline? And talk about a resurgence here lately. So the Yankees will talk about that and the AL East race, which is getting tight. We're going to talk about Yadier, your boy, talking extension with the Redbirds and how they've surged. We'll also talk NL East race and the Mets just being the Mets still. And we talk about them a lot. But that race is getting hot. So, and then we got other things to talk about too, including our golf outing coming up and how you can join and be a part of that. And just have a great show lined out for you. So, Kyle Drone, are you ready to rock and roll with a video and audio edition of Full Count?
Let's do it.
All right, let's start by going around the horn and talk Field of Dreams 2022. It was announced this week by Rob Manfred that the Chicago Cubs, and I couldn't be happier that they're playing in the Field of Dreams game in 2022. I told my wife, I said, may need to get us a ticket for that one. But when it was announced who they'd play on August 11th of 2022, it was and no offense to Reds fans, but the Cincinnati Reds. Kyle Drone. Right. Of all teams you pick, you have to pick the Reds? That just makes no sense to me.
I mean, the obvious choice there is the Cardinals. I mean, just from the rivalry.
Well, I figured it'd be the Cardinals or it'd have to be the White Sox. One of the two if the Cubs were playing. Of course, David Ross kind of let it out of the bag earlier, and I think MLB wanted him to. It just doesn't make any sense to me that's the Reds. I mean, the Reds are one of the longest teams to play. I get it, but at the same time, it's like, don't you think if you want to draw fans in and get the same viewership, by the way, that game, the White Sox-Yankees game, the most watched regular season game in like 46 years, I believe.
Yeah. That's
kind of crazy that it brought that viewership and brought that many eyes on the sport. So you're going to back that up with Cubs-Reds.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Two teams that the Reds can't sell out a venue either. They're not selling out Great America, which is like a toy box. You've been to Great American Ballpark, right?
I have, yes.
It's actually not a bad ballpark, and balls fly out of there. It's actually a great atmosphere around the ballpark too. A lot of great libation escapes, if you will.
There you go.
Yeah, a lot of bars. But there's also a lot of history there as well. It's kind of neat to walk across the bridge if you haven't been to Great American Ballpark. It's right there on the river. It's also next to where the Bungles play as well, which is their hot ticket right now. But so are you disappointed in the fact that it's Cubs-Reds in 2022 and not maybe a bigger rivalry for that game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the perfect battle right there is the Cards-Cubs. I mean, right now you're going to go in with a last place team, which will probably be the Cubs, and unless they have a huge offseason, which I don't, it's got to be a very big offseason. And seriously, I just thought they would go for more of a rivalry.
And I think they should have. I really do. I'd have went either Red Sox, Yankees. I'd have looked at Giants, Dodgers.
Right.
I'd have looked at some sort of a form of rivalry, whether it's in-state or out-of-state. I mean, I'd even been okay with going Astros, Rangers, if you wanted to do that. I thought it needed to be some sort of rivalry that it just wasn't. And that's where,
right.
Even as a Cub fan, I'm a little disappointed. Like, man, that'd be an awesome Cardinal game. You don't want to talk about a hot ticket.
Right.
They said Sox-Yankees tickets were going, what'd you say last week? $1,800?
$1,800 was last I heard.
So if Cardinal Cubs play there, what do you think? And being in the Midwest, being short drives for each fan base, what do you think a ticket for that would have went?
Oh, upwards of 2,500 easy.
Right? Yeah,
Maybe
agreed.
even more.
Right. Don't tell my wife that. But who knows what we'll get where the Reds Cubs, but hopefully it's a little more affordable than that.
Right.
But we'll see. But I love the tradition they're starting here. I do. I love the fact they're going to do it again this year. It's going to be tough to beat the opening montage that Kevin Costner had and everything this year. I don't know how you'll back that up next year.
Right.
But I definitely like what they did, and hopefully they just continue to do it. Really.
Right. No, I think it's great for the game. It brings that little extra to it, not just the same games in the same ballparks.
I did also hear on the broadcast the other night that they are going to do the Little League Classic again this year, which I think is great.
Yep.
So keep that tradition up as well. Anything that can bring eyes to the game right now is good because this is a labor year, and they need all the eyes and all the ears and all the good PR, if you will, before that
Right.
before negotiations start. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
So besides the Little League Classic, I don't remember who's playing the Little League Classic, but they play it right there in Williamsport as well, or right outside there. I've been watching the Little League World Series games. Well, the kids are a lot smaller than I remember. Maybe I'm just getting older, but these kids aren't very big.
Yeah, I mean, they're little leaguers. I mean, it's in the title, little.
Right. Right. But I still remember, when I was a Little League guy, some of these guys were big, but I'm like, man, these kids aren't very big at all. They're skin and bones. I haven't seen any meaty ones yet.
New workout plans, I guess.
I guess so.
Across Little League.
One of my favorite things about the Little League World Series, and I know we didn't really talk about this a whole lot before the show, but one of my favorite things is when they say their favorite things, their favorite teams,
Right.
their favorite. And some of these kids, man, they I saw one that said, "Hey, Miss Stevens," our favorite teacher. I'm like,
Right.
This kid's got he's got some cojones, but they're
Yep.
having fun out there, and I love watching that. I love watching college baseball just because it's so pure. It's just like minor league baseball, and that's what the Field of Dreams game reminded me of. You saw the excitement, you saw the players wanting to win that ball game, and how crazy is it that Tim Anderson walks that off, and Sheila Joe Jackson. It was I think it was a stat something like he was the last one to walk it off in a
Really?
Yankees White Sox game. So that's
Okay.
kind of neat as well. A little piece of info there, bit of history, but yeah. So I'm excited to have the Cubs in there, and I'm excited to see what the Cubs look like. My only disappointment, Kyle, and this is it. Why throw the Cubs in there if they're not going to be the Cubs? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you're going to have a whole new look Cubs next year, and
It
doesn't
better look
good.
better now.
It doesn't look good right now.
No, it's really hard to watch, and even guys who are reporting on MLB Network and ESPN, they agree it's hard to watch the Cubs right now. I mean, they just went through a
Right.
stretch of dropping 13 in a row, 14 in a row. I don't remember. It's a lot in a row. But we won 2 in a row. Congratulations! You're killing you're not letting the Pirates catch you. Yeah, it's just really hard to watch. Even I, as a diehard Cub fan, am struggling with it. But who knows? But hey, looking forward to it at least. At least they're doing it again. At least we got the Little League World Series coming up. It's a hot playoff race across the board for most divisions.
Right.
Most, I said. So it's a great time to be a baseball fan. We'll take a quick break. We will come back, and we will talk Yachty. At least Mozeliak and the Cardinals are talking extension with Yachty. We'll dive into that and kind of give our perspective on what is Yachty actually worth now. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back here on Full Count. You're listening to us or watching us on DingerBats.com and listen to us on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Summer is here, and at Ford of Tuscola, the deals are hot. Right now at Ford of Tuscola, all new Fords are priced to sell, and our pre-owned inventory starts from under $3,000. Check out our selection online at FordofTuscola.com or get pre-approved for financing on any of our vehicles at www.cucarloans.com. That's the letter C, the letter U, carloans.com. Ford of Tuscola, small town feel with great big deals.
Welcome back into Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Jerome, bringing you another edition here on Saturday morning. Thank you for joining us. Whether you're joining us here on Facebook or on 103.5 ESPN Radio, or if you downloaded our podcast, we appreciate any way you're listening to us. Make sure you share with your friends and tell all of them to make sure they follow Full Count, the podcast, on Facebook. And make sure they like and share the shows and all the great things we do. Kyle Jerome, we talked about Field of Dreams in segment 1. It pains me to talk about this a lot, but let's talk about Yadi. They came out that Yadi and the Cardinals were working on an extension, and very well should be, because last year they didn't. They let him go to free agency, him and Adam Wainwright both, and it was a long, drawn-out process. And if I'm a Cardinal fan, I'm thinking, why? As a Cardinal fan, are you happy to see that they're already talking extension now?
Oh, absolutely. Get it out of the way. I think last year's offseason was extremely uncomfortable and even kind of a slight to both of them, because why didn't you wrap them up right away? It wasn't. It didn't make a lot of sense.
I'm always about wrapping it up, Kyle. Always, I want to get it done early. But no, your great point. Yes, it's a fact that I didn't understand it either. You've got a perennial all-star in Yadi. You had a perennial all-star in Adam Wainwright. Two guys who lead your club, not just on the field, but off it as well. They do so much. And so I'm happy to see this as well. So the big question is, though, if you're John Mozeliak and the front office of the St. Louis Cardinals, what kind of money are we talking and how many years? I mean, surely you want to wrap this up where he ends up retiring the next 2 years, 3 years? I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, how many more years can
I've
go?
got 2 years on my mind, somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million for 2 years.
What?
Yeah, I mean, they're paying a lot less valuable catchers, more money than what he brings to the table. Even if he hits 230, 240, just the way he's going to handle the pitching staff and be the general on the field and just lead that club, I think that value is there.
So you're saying, this year he's on a 1 year, $8 million deal? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're saying you'd give him 2 years of 25. So you're going to give him a big chunk of raise there.
I would.
Woo, boy.
But I'm not calling the shots.
Well, it's not my money either. I mean, I'm okay if they give it to him, but I don't think you're too far off, honestly. I think 220 was kind of what I was thinking, with an option for a third, if a mutual option.
Right.
Because I think he's worth that. He's worth more than 8. And you're right. And you made great points there of the fact that what he does with the pitching staff, especially this year. I think Flaherty's been out. Mikolas is who thrown 4 pitches.
Right.
These guys have been out, and he's still handled a pitching staff of young kids, and they've been on a roll lately. They're now 4 games out of that second wild card, and the Padres are a team that they're trying to catch. And let me look here real quick. I've got this pulled up. Cincinnati's in front of them by 3.5. So Cincinnati's right there too, but Cincinnati just got 2 or 3 taken from them by the Cubs.
Yeah.
The AA Cubs. Let's be honest.
Right.
So the Cardinals could get. They lost 2 that they should have gotten against the Brewers. Those were 2 they needed.
Right. Lost late.
Right, but they're still in the hunt. There's a lot of baseball left to play. I mean, so with the Padres playing the way they are, they've lost 3 in a row. This could be a time with. This is another one of those Cardinal magic seasons, maybe, where we sneak into the playoffs and somehow we get in. So.
Right.
But you said Dylan Carlson went down, correct? And,
yep.
And he has been a very impressive rookie. Really, that for him to put up the numbers he has, and what makes this team go right now? You're a Cardinal fan, you know. I mean, is it just timely stuff and guys doing their job?
They're always a second half team. First off,
I know.
Other than that, they are getting the production. I mean, Harrison Bader is playing 5 steps above where he has all year. Tyler O'Neill has been, pretty solid all year, but he's kind of hot right now. And you're getting the consistency out of Goldie and Arenado that you want. If one's not doing it, the other one is. So, and then they're playing good defense. That's, what they've always done. But yeah, I mean, it's, this is the time of year Cardinal fans really look forward to if we're within striking distance.
And you are, without a doubt. And every stinking year this happens, though. It drives me nuts. You guys get hot in mid-August or early September, then you go on that run. But that's what good teams do, and I think they're doing a great job of that. Let's talk a little bit about the NL wild card. So you've got the Dodgers, who are 9 games up on the Padres. They're the first wild card. Padres are second at 67 and 56 when we sit down tonight. 3-7 in their last 10. A fading team. Do you have the Padres staying there, or is someone going to catch them?
I don't know. Right now, if they don't turn it around, then they're definitely looking like they're going to get caught. But they're such a young, explosive team; they can go on a run at any time. So I can't rule them out completely. But obviously, I can see Cincinnati or St. Louis, either one catching them.
What about we talked the NL East is such a tight race as well, and we talked a couple weeks ago about how we both thought that winner of that division, you wouldn't see a wild card out of it. But the Phillies are only 5 back, Mets 5.5 back, because the Braves are now leading that division. We'll get to that in a little bit later in our next segment. But one of those could get hot. Philly's been hot too. One of those could sneak in. Cincinnati could sneak in.
Right.
Even though they dropped 2 to the Cubs, Cincinnati's still playing good baseball and they're getting solid pitching. And they play in a Cracker Jack box, as we talked about earlier. I don't see the Padres. When you used to go out and sign Jake Arrieta to a minor league deal, Jake, who DFA'd by the Cubs, designated for assignment, ladies and gentlemen, and then came first start. Now he's hurt. It just to me says you're struggling for that pitching depth because Yu's out.
Right.
They don't have that depth, and so and Tatis now went out at short playing right field. That just throws up big flags to me, by the way, as well. But I don't see the Padres. Right. I think it's going to be somebody else besides the Padres in. I think Padres fall out.
Yep, I can see that.
Speaking of the Padres, let's talk about that. Just touch base on that just real quick about Fernando Tatis Jr. on the IL, comes back. Of course, he hits a home run because that's all the kid does. He's fantastic of an athlete. Right. Exciting to watch. But they have him in the outfield. Not quite back at short. Long term, is that where he ends up?
I mean, down the road, possibly, but I think, he's their shortstop. He's going to be back once they feel like he's 100% healthy. And, try to, do some things to, keep from injuring himself. Maybe he's just so athletic that he gets the balls that the normal player wouldn't. And, he needs to, back up a little bit, dial it down maybe.
That's a good point. Maybe he does, but I don't know if that's in him to do that.
It'd be tough.
When you're on the field, it's instincts take over. Whether you know that as well as I do, is playing baseball. Instincts take over. If you're going to dive, you're going to dive.
Right.
I didn't do that a whole lot in my career, but that instinct takes you. You're like, no, especially late in my career. That's softball. It's hard, but no, seriously, I actually like him in right field. And it was mentioned the other day on MLB Network, and Dan Plesac said this, and I loved it. They asked Dan Plesac, they said, will the Padres go get another shortstop in this huge free agent class and keep him in right to keep their money safer?
If you do, you have to go for a guy like Trevor Story that's going to put up similar offensive numbers, because you've got to replace that at shortstop, and it's easier to do it at a corner outfield position than it is at shortstop.
Well, his answer I thought was a great answer. His answer was, where are they getting the money from? You're going to have to subtract to do that. So either Hosmer would have to go, or Will Myers, or somebody's contract is going to have to go. And so I agree with you. I think he ends up back at short. But if we start seeing this as a habitual thing with him going on the IL, we may need to rethink Fernando Tatis Jr. as a shortstop. And my other question is, why not move Manny Machado over? Guy can play.
I mean, I don't have an argument there.
I mean, I don't understand that either. But that's the Yachty extension. I think we both agree. 2 years, 20 at least. You say 25. I think that's a little too much. But hey, what do I know? It's not our money, right?
Time served.
And he has earned every single dollar that he has earned, without a doubt. I will never argue that, because I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. All right, let's take a quick break. We will come back and we're going to dive into the American League East standings and the division that now is up for grabs because the Yankees have been on a surge. You are listening to Full Count, the podcast on dingerbats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Bees Trees, your local ISA certified arborist with over 10 years experience, specializing in tree removal, tree trimming, and with free estimates. Call Greg Miller of Bees Trees today at 217-260-4551.
Back here on Full Count. Thanks for joining us today. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone bringing another episode on this Saturday morning. First time we've done video, so if you like the video portion of it, make sure you let us know. Give us your feedback. We're also available for podcast and Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music. Tell Alexa you want to listen to us, and she will put you on your device. Also, we want to thank 103.5 ESPN Radio for allowing us to be on each and every Saturday morning for you. So I hope you got your cup of coffee and listen to the show. But Kyle Drone, we've talked Yachty, we've talked NL, the wild card, the Cardinals right there in it. Let's talk a little AL East. Boy, when the trade deadline happened and we said, why are the Yankees trading for Joey Gallo? Why are they trading for Anthony Rizzo? They still have no pitching. Well, surprise, surprise, that pitching's came around and the offense has too. And the offense is clicking on full cylinders. And all of a sudden, the Yankees have leapfrogged the Red Sox, who now sit, let's see here, I just looked that up here, sit half game out of the wild card, second wild card. So they have leapfrogged a lot here in the last couple of weeks. The Yankees have been red hot, 8-2 in their last 10. They're 5.5 behind Tampa Bay, who I still don't get how Tampa Bay is 175 games. They just do their job, though. That's all they do. But are you surprised about this hot streak the Yankees have been on, and where do you think it really comes from? Is it the pitching, or is it just the offense that's kind of carried the way?
I mean, the pitching's held tight, but it's been the offense and the addition of Gallo and Rizzo. I'm sure Rizzo is a great clubhouse guy, a lot of enthusiasm, has fun every day. Probably brings a lot of that excitement to the team and brings them up a level.
Luke Voigt, Rizzo went on COVID, the COVID list there for 10 days, said it was pretty hard on him. But Luke Voigt, who led the majors in home runs in 2020 in that shortened 60-game season, came up for the Yankees. Now, Luke has had a horrible season, but during this stretch since he came back up, he's got 7 homers, 18 RBIs, and even is now saying, hey, I need my at-bats.
Right.
So if you're the Yankees, and you've got a guy who's red hot like that, but you've got a guy in Rizzo, both first basemen, how are you going to get both at bats?
You got to mix it up. You got to rotate the DH, make Stanton play the field here and there once in a while. I mean, he's not going to kill you in left field. See if you can get him at least in there every other day or every third day anyway.
It's a good problem to have, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and we talked and we didn't think that would be something that we necessarily would have thought would carry this ball club, but they have. But the Red Sox on the other end, their offense has just went kaput. They haven't got any runs allowed, and the pitching's kind of went downhill. A team that really played strong baseball all the way up until the last 2 weeks. Man, I don't know if they the addition of Chris Sale back this week, right? And so maybe that helps, but boy, they aren't looking real good either.
Yeah, right now they're in a little downslide, but there's enough time left, and they're right hot on the trail, so they can right the ship here in the next week or so, and I think they'll be all right. It's going to be tight right there, and then Oakland is the other one that's in that that's ahead of them that has the second wild card right now, or no?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah,
they're half game ahead of Boston.
Yeah, and I mean Oakland's still playing tough, and I mean, they added Marte, and he's been nothing but tremendous since he's been there.
What's he swing?
So, dinger bats.
I just want to make sure we're right on the same page there. Yeah.
Yep.
No wonder he's been red hot.
Yeah.
But no, they made some
All the
good moves. They made some good moves at the break too. Oakland did, and it was minor moves, which we didn't think a whole lot of. But it's once again Billy Bean doing what Billy Bean does, and picks up the right pieces. Let's hope they can sustain that. But look at this wild card race, and we'll get back to the AL East here in a second. Seattle, the Mariners, somehow I still don't get it. Only 3 games out of that second wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto 4.5, and then you have the Angels at 7.5. Angels,
Right.
unless they get Trout, I heard is coming back, is going to start doing some rehab work. Man, Shohei is phenomenal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what is it, 40 homers now?
Yes.
And in a sub-3 ERA.
It's unheard of, uncharted territory.
So, could we just hand him the MVP now, or do we have to wait till the end of the season?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's his, regardless of what he does the rest of the season. But I think there's more to be. I think there's more to come from him.
I do too. Hopefully, he can stay healthy, but I don't see them making a push to the playoffs. I don't.
Sadly, I agree.
Seattle, though, if things fall the right chips fall, they could be looking right there at it. And they're a team that nobody has talked about, but they're 8-2 in their last 10.
Right.
So that's an interesting. It just still shocks me every time I look at the standings. They're right there.
Yep.
They just haven't got that push over the top, and it's going to be hard to overcome. Let's be real; it's going to be hard to overcome Oakland, Boston, and the Yankees to get in that.
Yeah,
wild
I agree.
card.
I don't see them making it, but I guess we'll see.
So, Oakland, Yankees, Red Sox. If you had to pick 2 right now, who's your 2 wild card?
We'll go Oakland and the Yankees.
Wow, no Sox, huh?
Can only pick 2.
I'll go Sox, Yankees. I think Oakland's the one that's out on the outside looking in. So, that'll be interesting. It's gonna be another tight. That's what I love about this time of year. It's tight races all over. Tampa Bay 75-47 as we do this on a Thursday evening here in the clubhouse lounge with my dinger bats above me. Always repping. Always repping.
Yep.
How do they do it? They trade away Blake Snell. They trade away Willie Adames, who's putting up great numbers for the Brewers, by the way.
He is, yeah.
He sparked them that offense unbelievably, and that was a deal that went under the radar.
Right.
But how do they do it? I don't.
Consistency.
You're without Tyler Glass now, and you're exactly right. You're right. Consistency is perfect, and I think they have a great guy leading the ship in Kevin Cash,
Mm-hmm.
and he does the right things with the right guys at the right time. So, and you probably thank the Pittsburgh Pirates a lot for that because of that Chris Archer deal, where they got Austin Meadows and these guys in that deal. So,
right.
So that's a name no one's talked about for a couple of years, Chris Archer.
Right.
But yeah, so Tampa Bay's there. Let's just while we're here, let's talk a couple other divisions. Why not? Oakland's 2.5 back in the West. You said you're taking Houston the entire rest of the way, but they're only 2.5 back. Houston's got some faults in its own too. Their offense, I don't think, has clicked fully yet either. Is there a chance Oakland wins that division?
I don't think so. I think they're a wild card team. I think Houston's got another burst of energy in them to end the season, and they're gonna extend it out or at least hold on and win that division.
And the tightest race in all of baseball is the Central and the American League. I mean, it was pretty much done at the break.
Right.
Hey, it's my World Series winner. I told you at the beginning of the year the Sox would win the World Series.
Yep, you did.
They're 20 games above 500, playing great baseball. They're getting everybody back. Luis Roberts back. Eloy Jimenez, boy, that trade that they stole that one. That's probably we may look back on that trade of the Sox getting Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease from the Cubs for Jose Quintana, which I wasn't a fan of at the time, as one of the biggest flop, like the biggest. I don't want to call it we'll call it a flop.
Yeah, one-sided trade.
One side, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
One-sided trade that we may see in a long time because Cease looks pretty good and Eloy is phenomenal.
Yeah. I agree.
And boy, just the rest of that division, you talked about it earlier when we were off air in between breaks here. Kansas City's 18 out, but boy, is Salvi Perez having a great year.
Yeah, he is, man. It's kind of under the radar because they're not winning, but I was watching them play the other night, and He's got almost 30 home runs, 75, 80 RBIs, hitting close to 3, or actually maybe over 3. And then, what he does behind the dish. So he's just, he's having a big year.
He and Yadi should be the two most respected catchers in baseball, in my eyes. Hands down, just for what they do for their ball clubs.
Yep.
But the rest of that division, boy, awful.
Yeah.
Detroit's made a little bit of push. They've actually looked good of late. And that's the thing with some of these teams like Cleveland. They're not going to win the division. They're not going to win the wild card. Detroit, Minnesota, Kansas City. These are 4 teams that if you've got them late in the season and you're in a hunt, you better come with your A game because there's still teams that are can win ball games.
They're spoilers.
They are. Sure. Unlike the Orioles, who are just bad. And I don't see them getting any better anytime soon. It's really bad. Are you surprised that the Blue Jays are 10.5 out right now?
I am. I thought they'd perform better. I think they're missing the leadership of Springer because the young guys, with all their talent, they're just not ready to, take the helm, so to speak. I look for, Bo Bichette to be that guy down the road. Or him and Vlad Jr. both together doing it. But right now, even though Springer's new to the team, he's kind of the leader.
And he's out again, which is I hate to see because I think really with him in the lineup in the beginning of the year, and if they have them healthy for a full season, I don't think they're 10.5 out. But they're going to have to get some pitching. I mean, their starting pitching's not real great. So anyway, all right, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk the craziness of the National League East Division. Them fighting Phils and the Tomahawk Braves are coming back to the top, and those lonely Mets. It's just sad when your owner says you got to play a little part. So we'll discuss it all when we come back here on Full Count. You're watching us on DingerBats.com. Listen to us on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
If you need the taste of Southern Illinois, then visit the all-new Bosco's Biscuits and Booze, home of the world champion daily special. 2 large, all-natural, juicy white meat chicken breast, a side of the famous What the Hell biscuits, and a bucket of the cheapest beer in stock for only $6.99. Located at the corner of Old Milwaukee Boulevard, next to the Primo Hooer Hotel. Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. It's world champion food and cheap-ass booze.
Welcome back, everybody, to Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you. Thank you for staying with us here on this Saturday morning as we talk Pennant baseball. We're getting down to the thick of things here in the last few weeks, and couldn't think of a better guy to talk to than Mr. Drone about that. But, hey, just want to remind you, we do have the Strikeout for Hunger coming up, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, or if you haven't visited our Facebook page. Strikeout for Hunger is our charity golf event coming up October 16th at Iron Horse Golf Club in Tuscola. We've still got a couple spots left for teams. Not many. Filling up pretty quick, Kyle Drone, which is awesome. But we do have a lot of sponsorship availability left, too. So if you're a business owner, want to sponsor a hole or sponsor part of the swag bag, give me a call and reach me at fullcounthost@gmail.com. Be happy to talk to you about that. But, yeah, pretty excited for the event. We've got a lot of great sponsors already, including our presenting sponsor, 217 Mortgage, who powered by Flat Branch. Great people, and our presenting sponsor, Kester Homes, Freeman's Tavern. We have a long list of sponsors, and a lot of sponsors are putting teams in as well to help the cause. And we're benefiting the Eastern Illinois Food Bank and feeding our kids of Champaign and Douglas County, which is awesome because both are great organizations. We're happy to do that. So it should be a fun day. You and I on a golf team together. Hey, last time we played together, we played pretty well.
We did. We played really well.
We did, and we got John Ross Wilsey from Freeman's Tavern coming to play with us again, and he hit the ball 6 miles at a time, so we're good there. And then we got your old man.
Yep.
The godfather of Dingerbats.
Right.
So it should be a fun day. I have a lot of teams coming out, and we'll give you more. Go to Full Count the Podcast Facebook group for more information, or just contact me, as I said. But let's talk NL East, Kyle Drone. And here in the last 2 weeks, we have had a big shift in first place, second place, third place. The Mets, who were leading most of the season, came to the injury bug DeGrom out. They're not getting Taiwan Walker's not pitching well. I mean, they went all the way to Tampa Bay and got Rich Hill, which has been a disaster as well. He hasn't made it out of the fourth inning yet of a start for the Mets. And now they find themselves in third place. On the other hand, you had a couple teams who made some moves, like the Atlanta Braves, bringing Adam Duvall, Jorge Soler to replace Ronald Acuna, who went down for the year. And you have the Phils, who the Phillies had it all year long. They just hadn't got hot, and now they got hot.
Yeah.
How important was Duvall and Soler to Atlanta at the deadline?
I mean, huge, obviously. I thought when Acuna went down that they were going to kind of wrap it up and, on to next year. But they made some moves, and it's paying off for them. The team is all clicking right now and, led by Freddie Freeman as he can do. And, I think they're the team to beat.
I looked at the other day and saw some stats that Ozzie Albies and Dansby Swanson, both 24 home runs, both drove in, I think, right around that 75-80 mark, both hitting right at 300. When you can get your middle infield to do that, you're going to be successful. And not to mention the guy that everybody thought wouldn't last at third base, maybe the unsung hero of the Braves in Austin Riley. Riley is having a huge year for them and playing good defense. It's not great defense, but above average defense.
He shows flashes of greatness.
Right.
I mean, he's definitely got the ability once he gets the consistency down. He's going to be, he's a star in the making, I think.
I agree with you 100% on that, and his offensive numbers are up. You mentioned during the break, as we were kind of talking about this, getting ready to go on air, is the fact that Jorge Soler may be the biggest impact they have, but Adam Duvall's got 27 homers this year.
Yep.
That's a thump.
That is. Yeah.
And Soler is, I don't know if I think he is a free agent after this year, and you said that you wouldn't mind seeing him stay. Why?
Well, I think the camaraderie with Albies and Acuna in the outfield, and, not to mention the offensive production he can have and the protection in the middle of that lineup for Freddie Freeman.
I love Jorge Soler, who signed for the production he has put up since he's came to the majors. He signed a 6-year, $36 million deal, international free agent signing with the Cubs. And the Cubs then traded him to Kansas City in the Wade Davis deal. And he stayed in Kansas City, had a huge year 2 years ago. Last year, not so much. But I think that's kind of why he was expendable at the deadline this year, is because he is a free agent, and the Braves picked up, and he's been producing since. I worry about his defense a little bit. I do. But sometimes offensive production can overshadow that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's a little bit of a liability out there, but he's going to make the routine plays, and he's going to produce at the plate. So I think there's more positives than negatives when it comes to that.
Yeah, he's not Alfonso Soriano in the outfield. Let's be honest. That was a circus show,
right?
But or any Cubs outfielder right now. But anyway, it's truth.
Can you name one? Can you name one?
What, an outfielder? Oh, right. Come on now, Jason Hayward's
outside
still there.
Hayward.
We can't get rid of him. Hap, we got Hermioso. It just came up. Ortega. Ortega's had a good second half, but yeah.
Yeah, Ortega's. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. So, but we can't get rid of Hayward quick enough. I love the guy. I love the guy. Wholehearted for everything he's given, but he's on the downside of his career. I really do think so. So, but let's talk about this. Phillies. Back to the NL East. Phillies been hot. Bryce Harper has led the charge. Rhys Hoskins, Real Muto, but they're getting good pitching from Aaron Nola and their staff. They picked up some key guys too at the deadline. We talked a little bit about it last week, in Ian Kennedy and Kyle Gibson. I said at the beginning of the year the Phils were my pick. And even though the Nationals at the beginning of the year looked fantastic, I still like the Phils, just top to bottom what they got with these additions. I don't see the Mets making a charge back. I don't. I think they're just going to keep sliding.
No, I agree.
So Phil's Braves, who do you like better coming out of the East?
I mean, I like the Braves.
Come on.
It's just I don't know. It's just something about the Braves. Watching them all through the 90s. They're not. I'm not a Braves fan per se, but I watched a lot of Braves baseball. Being on TBS and all. So
605.
It's I definitely lean towards them. Although the Phillies have a tremendous team. Love Didi. Love Romuto. Got a lot of thump in the lineup, but let's just say I'm not picking them as much as I'm rooting for them.
There you go. Okay, I'll take that. Well, I'm going to pick the Phillies, and I'm rooting for the Phillies. But the Braves have a great manager as well, who I think is the right guy to lead that ball club. And I'm excited to watch this race go down. I think to the final weekend. I really do, because I think both teams are going to fight. And as I said, the Mets just are.
If it comes down to pitching in the bullpen, then the Phillies, I think, have that edge.
Agreed. I agree with you there wholeheartedly. But the Braves are 9-1 in their last 10. 9-1. Of course, when you play Miami, it helps. But it'll be interesting to see what happened to the Mets. I mean, really, let's talk about them a little bit. I mean, the talent's there, everything's there.
I just didn't like them from jump start. Beginning of the year, outside of DeGrom, I don't really see a lot of pitching depth, especially when Syndergaard was out. Their young players are decent, but not, exciting. And they brought Javi over, which was a little bit of excitement, but you haven't had Lindor most of the season. And when he has played, he's not played to near what his capabilities are. So it's just really not been anything to really talk about. Although we talk about him all the time.
We do. It's because we've been waiting for this to happen. As I've said all year, I've been waiting for the Mets just to crumble like they do every year. And they finally did. But I agree with you. I think, I think in 2022, if this core of the Mets stays there, and maybe they get a little bit more pitching, Syndergaard should be back. DeGrom, if I'm the Mets, I don't know if I push DeGrom back this year at all. I'm honestly, I don't know if I do.
Right.
So you've got those two. Taijuan Walker's had a resurgence in his career. Even if you get half of what you got out of him, and then you pick up a fourth or fifth, your pitching's going to be all right. Part of the problem with the Mets has been their bullpen. Edwin Diaz is not an answer to me as a closer for the Mets.
No,
and Jeurys Familia, I have a problem saying his name, isn't the guy he used to be in the bullpen either. So for me, I think you got to look at that bullpen to get some help if they're going to compete in 2022. But I don't see them make it. If they make a run, I would be shocked.
I agree. And you also, look at Michael Conforto. What was he 2-3 years ago? He looked like he was going to be the next big thing. And then you got Brandon Nemo,
yep.
And then Dominic Smith, both highly touted prospects, and they just haven't done.
They flamed out.
Yeah, and whether or not I'm not saying they're done completely, they just haven't done it this year. They're going to have to get production out of those three spots. They're young guys, along with Javi and Lindor, and I think Alonso will have a jump back year. He's going to always hit 30, 40 home runs
with ease.
So they've got it, I guess, but just not this year.
Do you think Dominic Smith, he's a guy who came up as a first baseman, blocked because of Alonso there and what he's done. They moved him to the outfield. Do you think that's part of it? I mean, you as a baseball player, you get moved and you're not as comfortable as you would be if you're at your normal position that you've came up playing and went through the minors with.
Well, it should. I'm sure it does at first, but that's what being a big leaguer is all about. You have to be professional and you have to overcome it and somehow, convince yourself that now you're the outfielder.
Well, that's why I didn't play, because I told them I wanted to play short, and they said, you're too short and fat. And I said, well, you're right. I'm slow, too, so let's throw that in. But, no, I could imagine playing shortstop. The balls come so quick, it wouldn't be funny. But we'd love to try. Love to try one time. But, no, I see what you're saying, and you're right. Yeah, as a big leaguer, you got to make those adjustments. And we've seen a lot of guys do it, and look at Tatis. Pretty seamless go from short to right.
Right.
And the production has not failed. So it'd be interesting to see. But you're rooting for the Braves. Why not? Right?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Well, I like to fight in Phils. I hope the Phils come back. And I'd really like to see Bryce Harper get in the playoffs and do something for them because of that contract. I still think that contract was silly because I don't think Bryce Harper is as good as Bryce Harper thinks. Just my honest opinion.
Yeah. I think he's getting a little bit of humbleness, with his age and seeing that he's not what he was. I mean, the talent level's there, and he's making the adjustments. But I think he probably got a little bit of a big head there for a while. But I think he's leveling out. He's a tremendous guy to talk to. You don't feel like he's all ego, but I think he had it there in some of his younger years.
Well, why wouldn't you? Think about the press he had and everything else. I mean, I probably have a little bit of an ego more than I do now. Um, Not that I have one. But no, yeah, I can see it. I can see all the publicity and everything he had. So it'll be interesting to see where this race goes, and I'm excited to watch it. Hey, we'll take a quick break. We will come back and we'll call the pin and talk about some ejections that happened and a few odds and ends in baseball here as we wrap up this edition of Full Count. You're listening to us on 103.5 ESPN Radio in Southern Illinois, and you're watching us on DingerBats.com.
Morgan's Place Canine Salon offers full-service grooming to dogs of all ages, sizes, and breeds in a stress-free home environment using only the finest natural grooming products. Visit www.morgansplace.me to learn more. Morgan's Place, making dogs beautiful.
Back here on Full Count, wrapping up another edition. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you. Thank you for joining us today. And we've got a hot button topic to call the bullpen, and it should be pretty heated here and some whys, Kyle Drone. But and so Major League Baseball, there's a report out that it's proposed 100 million team salary minimum, and then lowering the luxury tax threshold from 210 million, which it currently sits at, to 180 million. Now you say, okay, well, why is this important? Kyle Drone, there are 12 teams right now who do not have $100 million team salary.
Right. So what are some of the teams?
You're looking at the Cleveland Indians, the Miami Marlins.
What kind of payroll are we talking?
The Pirates. We're talking less than $50 million.
So you're going to force those teams to double their salaries. And I mean, what if they don't have the ticket sales? What if they don't have the TV deals or the sponsorships that the big market teams have?
Well,
how are they supposed to survive?
Well, and I think what they're trying to do here is lowering the luxury tax threshold also increases the way I'm reading this anyway, is that the 25% tax would go up. It'd go to 25% from the 20 it currently is against violators who go over that threshold. So by lowering that, then
let's face it, the guys that go over the threshold, they're not worried about money.
You're exactly right.
There's
no way this passes.
I can't imagine, because you're bringing up the floor to a level that's just, I mean, not only is it going to be tough on the small market teams to survive financially, they're going to be deterred from bringing up young talent. Say you're, for example, this isn't a joke on the Cubs. Let's just say you guys had a good farm system and you had 4 or 5 guys.
That is a joke.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Let's say that you have 4 or 5 guys that, you're ready to bring up. You just cleaned house. You're ready to bring up this next year and start getting them started, and they're at league minimum. So now do you have to go out and overpay some veteran pitchers or some, people that can't contribute to the team the way you want them to, just because you're forced to have a minimum salary?
That's a great point. You're right. And that's a great question too. I don't know. So instead of bringing guys up, since you're underneath that 100 million, you'd have to go sign a guy like, I don't know, let's throw it like a old guy, Nelson Cruz, who's 42. Maybe give him a $30 million deal just so you're over the 100 million. But he's not going to help your ball club. I mean, he will. But
he will, but not. Yeah, he's not going to be worth $30 million.
Right. Nor is he going to get you on that track to help you down the line in the next 2 to 3 years either.
Right. You're going to keep them down. They're not going to get the experience, the reps up at the big league level. So who's proposing this? MLB. It can't be the ownership. It's not the ownership.
Major League Baseball is
Major
proposing
League
this.
Baseball.
Yeah. For the new CBA, which expires December 1st. I told you this.
Right.
There's a lot that's going to happen and a lot for us to talk about in this offseason, which is great for us.
So why is MLB proposing it? I thought it was between the owners and the Players Association. I know they mediate everything, but they're actually pushing suggestions because the Players Union will vote for it. I mean, it does nothing but help them.
Right, yeah, but I don't know if the other side will. I mean, you'd be silly to. I don't know why.
Well, no, the ownership won't vote. I'm just curious as why Major League Baseball is the one suggesting it.
That's a great question. I don't know. It wasn't said in the report, but all I saw was a report saying that they're pushing for $100 million floor for each team. I don't know if it's competitive balance, maybe. But to me, I think you bring up great points where it doesn't really bring up.
I mean, if you're overpaying people, because the way the union's set up, there's markets for, the available service time for that third baseman with that production. So you mess up the market if you decide one of these players you bring up that you're just going to overpay them right away. Then that messes up the market across the board. So then now you're overpaying for everything. And I don't see how that's beneficial to anybody but the players, obviously.
Well, it's that's a great point. The only teams that are going to overpay that way, though, are the teams that are under that $100 million, like the Indians, the Pirates, the Marlins, the Orioles. The other teams who are already over that, they're just going to continue business as usual.
Yeah, and the luxury tax being lowered or the ceiling being lowered is not going to deter them in any way.
No, do you think the Dodgers really care what the tax threshold is?
No, absolutely.
The Yankees? No.
Yeah,
no, it's
never have.
But it's also those teams that are on the cusp of that. You look at a Brewers. You look at maybe a White Sox team that has some younger guys on there that, I don't know exactly what their team salary is. I'd like to look at. I may look that up, and we'll get back on this topic next week, and kind of go from there. But it's interesting to think that, I'm all for not overpaying for players. I'm not. I think salaries are getting kind of out of hand the way it is anyway. But I don't know if this is the right way. I don't think this is the right way to go without a doubt.
Yeah, I think this gets shot down immediately by the owners. And I don't know how that voting goes. If it's like the voters of the ownership has to be a majority and the Players Association has to be in a majority, or if the Players Association and if they have small boards, so to speak, to rep each side.
Right. It'll be interesting to see. But you're going to hear a lot of the rumors and a lot of reports and a lot of things wrong with the CBA. And your best spot to hear all the news and what's going on with that is right here on Full Count. Each and every week we'll bring that to you. And it's going to be a hot off season without a doubt. Let's just pray there's not the big S word that comes out.
Oh, for sure. That would be horrible.
Don't forget you can download the podcast if you missed any of today's show at Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music, Pandora, Podbean, Stitcher, anywhere you download a podcast. We are there, including on iHeartRadio and Odyssey, our newest place that we are available at as well. So don't forget October 16th, we have our Strikeout Hunger charity golf event in Tuscola at Iron Horse Golf Club. We've got a few spots open for teams, just a couple, and we have sponsorships available. So if you're a local business and you want to get part of that and be part of this great event, which is going to be huge, please get a hold of us, and we'll make sure we get you in contact with myself and get you taken care of. But other than that, Kyle Drone, do you have anything to finish up with our first edition of Full Count via video and audio?
No, man, I'm good. Happy to be a part of it and appreciate everybody that's following and any feedback we can get.
That's exactly right. All right, for my co-host and good friend, Kyle Drone, and the owner of Dingerbats, make sure you get your dinger. Make sure you get your dinger this week. Order those, right there, dingerbats.com. But for him and for myself, have a great week, everybody. Enjoy yourself. And remember, you only live once, so enjoy it. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you next week here on Full Count.